the Nvidia growth story is over. I think it's pretty silly that Nvidia is crashing dramatically. Now, when I say silly, I don't mean to say this isn't a warranted or much needed correction. I just think, like, we all know, or at least I believe, that Nvidia is not going to be trading at 21 times earnings if they hit even 450 on EPS, which means the stock is much more closer to 150 to 170 a year from now if they have those growth estimates. Now, maybe those growth estimates change, maybe something around AI changes. We'll see what happens as that occurs. But I don't think that it deserves to be getting this beat up just based on the fact that people are taking profits. Now, I do think that Nvidia, if we look at the year-to-date chart, Nvidia probably also was silly, just like it's silly right here. It's silly at 140. And I wrote about this on Twitter this morning. I think at 140, no one really believed Nvidia was seriously at 140. I mean, that was when, just people were buying it to buying it. It was a little bit more peak euphoria. Now, 120s, it was maintaining the 120s for a good month. Like, 120s did feel like a little bit of a base. So falling from 120s to me down to 104, even to 100, I think is very healthy. I think that's real consolidation you need to see in the stock. The stock is still up more than 100% year to date. Currently, the stock 116% year to date. You can't really complain if you're an Nvidia shareholder. This is probably a little bit of a correction we needed. But I do think if you look at future EPS estimates, the price does get silly. And so the question is just, do you buy the dip here, or do you get a little bit more greedy and wait for some more pain? Now, some more pain can happen if JPOW ends up saying the wrong things. However, our good friend, Mr. Liam Hans, put out an intraday alert to all of his subscribers this morning, like an hour ago, and said, hey, buy the fear. There's a high probability of a 4% to 5% 5-day equity rally post-FOMC led by small caps, basically thinking, okay, so FOMC is tomorrow. So we're looking at August 5th. S&P is up 5% from this level if you take the high range. So S&P currently, we said a 5-day rally. S&P is at 543. Let's even attach 4% on that. Let's not do 5%. We're looking at an S&P of 565, basically back to where we were. I don't know now. I still don't remember. Basically back to where we were on July 16th. If he's correct about this rally post-FOMC. Now, why is he saying there's going to be a rally post-FOMC? Well, I think he believes JPOW is going to come out and be super dovish. The jobs data we got this morning, technically that's bearish for cutting rates because there's more jobs, more growth, so you don't need to cut rates because that's going to create more inflation. Or you interpret it as, hey, we have so many job openings because people got fired, and a lot of these jobs are just zombie jobs. This is not an expanding economy. These are just jobs that are put up in the databases, but they're not actual jobs, which means the labor market's weakening and we should cut rates. And then on top of that, he still has the small cap thesis in terms of the earnings growth of the IWM, and as a result of that, if you believe his thesis is correct, well, then you believe that maybe there's a rally post-FOMC. What's really funny about the entire day today, IWM is one of the only things that's green. IWM up 0.74% on the day. Can you believe that? CrowdStrike's down, Nvidia's down, S&P's down, Nasdaq's down, Palantir 2641, bottom on Palantir today was like 2625-ish, so in the low 26s. IWM up almost 1%, small caps on the day, even though it's a pretty bloody day. It's one of the more bloodier days we've seen this entire year. Given the Nasdaq was down 3% last week, now it's down 1.5%. Micron's down 4%, UiPath's down 2%. TFC, regionals are doing well. TFC now at $45. Meta's down a little bit. Rocket Lab is down. Amazon's down 0.49, but small caps are up. So you either believe that thesis or you don't, but that's Tom Lee's argument. The last time he made a prediction this specific was, I think I told you guys, 450 on the S&P last July in the week. So on Monday, I think the S&P was like, I don't know, 438, 440. He said by Friday it would be 450. He was right. So when they do these types of like alerts, Fundstrat, I mean, historically they've been on point because they're looking at the data, they're seeing all the macro indicators, and they're like, hey, this is a really good opportunity. We'll see tomorrow if that is the case after JPOW speaks. Is this a correction mid? No, well, so let's do the math. So a correction by my understanding is 10%. So we were at 565 on the S&P. I think this morning we hit 538. So if you do the math over there, that is a 4.7% decline. So yeah, that's not really a correction per se. That's I think that's called a pullback versus a correction. And 10% is a correction. So we would need to see 500 or 510 on the S&P to get a real correction. Now Nvidia, I would say that's a correction because Nvidia's it was at 140. From 102, that is a 36% decline. I would say say that's a correction more than a correction. However, I never felt 140 in NVIDIA was real. So I don't like count NVIDIA going down from 140 to 102 as like a real thing. Like, yes, it's a real thing, but it just never felt real to me. So, yeah, we're not in correction territory yet for the broader market. We are in pullback territory. Certain individual stocks definitely have gotten corrected based on the weakness we've seen in the broader market over the past 2 weeks. It was real for a few minutes, yeah. 120 to 104 is more the correction for NVIDIA. 100%, 120 to 104. CrowdDip is being bought up. I just got off the phone with Steve. Steve says, hey, I want to buy CrowdStrike. I talked to some other people today. They're like, hey, I'm buying options on CrowdStrike. Look, if you want to buy 100 shares, like I said in the morning, if you want to buy 15 shares today, I think that you can never time the bottom. So, like, yeah, start a position. But if you want to buy all 100 today, I would just be very skeptical because Q2 guidance is going to be important. And if Q2 guidance is bad, we have some more downside momentum. Litigation really hasn't started yet. But a lot of people that I'm talking to are getting very excited for CrowdStrike. And a lot of people that I'm talking to, they bought NVIDIA today. They bought NVIDIA. They were just like, hey, I'm going to right. Again, 21 times EPS. Even $5 EPS. It's cheap. But you have to believe that $5 EPS is possible. Okay, let's get Dan Ives on a preview of what he thinks is going to happen at Microsoft. We've got 6 minutes until Microsoft, AMD, Starbucks, Pinterest, and a bunch of other companies' reports. Going to be a lot to talk about. Microsoft is at 5:30, so in an hour and a half. We'll have their earnings call. So until then, we'll be able to analyze a lot of companies that report.
Set the theme. Talk to us a little bit about the peak to trough declines that we've seen in NVIDIA, 15% down 6% today. The rest of big cap tech is down, I think, $1 trillion in market cap in the past couple of weeks. What's going on?
It's the white knuckles that started last week, as we talked about in terms of Tesla, Alphabet on CapEx. But in my opinion, this is the week. When we end the week, we're going to look back and say the AI revolution, the monetization started. So I believe if I look at all of our checks overseas from Microsoft, from Amazon, across software, ServiceNow, Palantir, and others, this is the proving over.
He said Palantir. Let's see. We got earnings on Monday for us next week. Let's see.
For big tech. And that's why I expect gold medal performance from big tech playing out this week. And if you look at the last 18 months, this whole bull market, skepticism, haters have hated it as we've gone up. This is just another speed bump on what I view is a tech bull market that continues for the next few years. And this will be, I think, a pivotal historical week for big tech, starting tonight with Redmond and the Dell.
Talk about Microsoft, which is a stock you follow, and then we'll turn to you, Rob, in just a moment. What are you expecting there, and what would be the red flag number?
Sure. I think we're going to see upside in Azure from a cloud perspective, intelligent cloud. That's really the source of the upside. PCs and a lot of those other, I think that's really background noise here. I would actually expect not conservatism, but actually pretty positive sort of outlook going into next year about uptick from a Copilot perspective, what we're seeing in demand. Then you talk about red flag. Well, CapEx is going to continue to expand. That is, to me, that is the right strategy. We are in an AI arms race. That's what Microsoft, that's what Alphabet needs to do. If there was a red flag, they see something about, is there some sort of pause or hesitation in